Hello, and thank you for being with us today. I am delighted to introduce our guest, Agne Veckyte. Agne is a luminary in the area of business intuition and radical forgiveness coaching. Her multifaceted expertise extends to her work as a Theta Healing instructor and SoulCollage facilitator, generously sharing her wealth of experience and insight. So now let's dive into the enriching conversation with Agne.
Hi, I want to welcome Agne Veckyte to our show. Wicheta, how are you doing today?
Yes, I'm good. Yeah.
Agne, you're doing great today. What's going on exciting in your life? How I want to introduce you to the listeners. You are business intuitive for at least 10 years, and how you bringing your skills and your expertise into the life of your life, a life of people around you, your clients. And Agne has been teaching spiritual female business owners to use their intuition to reach the most soul aligned clients so they can make more sales. Sales are good. Sales makes you feel like you contributing. Sales makes you feel like you're making a difference in people's life, and and bringing in more money. Money is good too. Huh? We all know that. And for the most important things, she's helping female business owners build a business to impact the life of people and their lives without any cookie cutter strategies. And that only the cookie cut strategy only leads to disappointment in results. So tell me, how did you get in the business intuitive coaching? That's very exciting to me.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's been quite a long road. I started from just searching for myself, searching for my own purpose, for something that would give me a sense that I'm impacting other people, that I'm bringing something really good in the world. I started in corporate, that didn't work out, ended up depressed, realized I need to do something different. And I always kind of had a very secret desire to explore my psychic abilities, intuitive abilities, because I've been interested in spirituality and that kind of, I don't know, I could probably call it like new age literature, I think, since I was a teenager. So I actually read my first spiritual book as a 12-year-old, and I understood everything. It made complete sense to me. All the tools that was provided in that book, I actually applied it in my relationship with my friends and all of that. So it worked. So I came back to what I knew gave me a sense of purpose and a sense of being connected to the universe, to God, to other people. And that's how my business began. So I became interested in, I kind of discovered the first modality that I ever learned was SoulCollage. It's a creative technique that helps people to get to know themselves. And so I started with that. I started teaching people that. Then I realized, okay, this isn't deep enough. I need more. And then that's how radical forgiveness coaching came into my life.
Oh, wow. Radical forgiveness. That sounds pretty radical, actually.
I know. But it's actually it's a lovely, and I mean, for people who want to get to know more about this, there's a beautiful book called Radical Forgiveness, written by Colin Tipping, who I actually had the privilege to learn from directly. He passed away a few years ago, and he was an amazing teacher who taught us the principles of forgiving. And forgiving does not mean forgetting. It does not mean you need to become friends with anyone, but it's just putting down the burden of carrying resentment and anger and bitterness and all of these angry feelings. So with radical forgiveness helped me to understand my own emotions, helped me to name them because of the tools that is available through this modality, and also helped me to understand how subconscious beliefs are formed. And I knew that the really deep work that can change lives immediately comes with working with subconscious beliefs. And that's how I ended up learning Theta Healing, because that is the process that allows me to connect with my clients and connect with their subconscious, and to figure out what is living in that subconscious that's creating blocks and difficulties in real life. And this applies to everything. This applies to our relationships, to our health, to and to business as well. So I actually, from the very beginning, so I started learning Theta Healing about 7.5 years ago. From the very beginning, I started applying and using the tools that I had for my own business. Because at the time, I was still I was kind of new in business. I wasn't really sure, what am I doing? Who are my clients? What am I supposed to do with this thing called business? And I had quite a bit of fear of not being good enough, fear of showing up, I don't know, on social media and that kind of thing. So I used the tools to help myself. And then I started getting clients, and my clients would ask me to help them with their business, with seeing, okay, why am I blocked? Why is money not coming into my business? I have so much to give, but it's almost like anything I put out in the world, no one wants to see it. And yes, there is business strategy, and there is all of that, of those practical things that we all need to do as business owners. But sometimes it's kind of like you keep doing things and you keep hitting the wall and almost nothing is working. And that's usually a good indication that there is a subconscious situation, a subconscious block, a fear, trauma somewhere that needs to be addressed, that needs to be looked at. So the tools that I have are the tools that help me to help my clients to address all of those things that are unseen and not necessarily clear, because we have beliefs that we know. We do, like, we believe certain things and we have values, and these are the conscious beliefs, but then the subconscious beliefs are the ones that usually stand in the way of success and attracting clients and bringing in money.
What are some of the tools you think the business owners need to do, like on a daily basis? What is one or two things that you would recommend them to do so they feel unstuck?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the key things, and it doesn't matter which tool you use for that, is, I would say, awareness of who you are and what you feel. So maybe spending a little bit of time every day, could be in the morning, could be in the evening, and it can be done with a simple, journaling. You take a notebook and you write things out. You write out how you feel. What are actual emotions? And there's actually a wonderful book by Brené Brown called Atlas of the Heart, that it's like a huge dictionary of emotions with full explanations of so this, sometimes just naming your feelings actually takes away almost, sometimes up to 90%, 80%
Did you
of
say
pressure.
naming of your feelings?
Yeah, just naming them. Just naming to yourself, I am angry right now, or I am sad, or I'm frustrated, or I feel guilty, or I feel ashamed. And these two feelings are, oh my God, they're so powerful, and they're very sneaky. And they usually take up so much energy that and we don't know, because we just feel something's not right. We're not really taught to recognize guilt and shame, where we kind of naturally try to hide it from ourselves. So I would say just having a practice that allows you to recognize what you're feeling, and writing it down, and accepting it. Just accepting that this is how I feel. There's no need to do anything with that feeling. Just let yourself feel it. Because no one's going to die from just feeling a feeling. that's not going to harm you in any way. It may not be nice or comfortable to feel kind of a bad feeling, although there are no bad feelings. But that's okay. Just being with the feelings is
So are you saying we kind of, it almost sounds like in a way of a meditation somewhat? You kind of go inside yourself and see what you feel. Is that okay?
Yeah, and a very good way is to do like a body scan. So there are many, especially in mindfulness, there are many meditations of how to you just close your eyes and you start from your toes and you kind of go up gently up your body and just notice, is there pressure, is there some kind of stress, and if you feel different things in your body, you can also ask yourself, are there any feelings stuck in that place, and what are those feelings? So yeah, meditation is definitely something that is very helpful. It's the main tool that I use, and no matter which modality I'm talking about, meditation is going to be a big part of it. And I have a free meditation for people if they want to use that they can use every day. And that meditation is specifically to connect to the wisdom of your soul for business decisions and for the next steps. So
in order to be the most successful business person, they need to know how to connect to their soul. Is that what it sounds like?
Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, if your business is your calling, if you feel very deep in your heart that this is something you're here to do, this is something that is a big part of the reason why you're here on this earth, then yeah, I would say having a simple tool how to connect with your soul and the wisdom of your soul, that's very helpful, because it's going to help you with decisions. It's going to help you with knowing and understanding where you want your business to go, your vision, your strategy, even. And it's not hard. That's the thing. It's actually not hard. We're always connected to our soul. We just don't have the conscious tools to go into that wisdom, into that beautiful power and light of the soul that's here. And the thing is, for some people, it may seem like soul and business, how is that connected? These
That's
are
a good question. How's that connected?
Well, because our businesses have souls. So everything we create, doesn't matter if it's a business, if it's I don't know, if you're knitting socks, if you're doing an artwork, if you're doing some kind of craft project, everything you create, you put a little spark of your soul in it. So when you're creating a business, you're also putting a little spark of your soul in it. You're also part of the divine everything. So we're not separate. We're very much connected to the soul of God. We are made from the soul of God. So our soul is a spark of God. So there is no separation. So by connecting, by just sort of accepting this, and nobody has to, but just kind of like, well, what if that was true? That means that everything is connecting. And the more alignment you have with the kind of divine guidance coming from the universe, God, creator, whatever the name people like to use, to your soul, and then into your personality and into your business, then it feels easier. It feels natural. It feels easy. Even when you have to do things you don't know how to do, it becomes a much lighter process.
So what would you recommend people if they want to say start a new business and they're afraid of failure? What should they do?
Well, the first thing what I do with my clients when they come to me with these questions is we look at the fear of failure. We look at, okay, what is the worst thing that will happen if you start a business and it fails? And just keep asking that question. And again, this can be a journaling exercise, or it can be an exercise you do in your head. Although journaling is easier because you kind of get out of yourself a little bit more, so you're not so locked in the same story. But yeah, just keep asking the same question. What is the worst thing that will happen? What is the worst thing that will happen then? What is the worst that will happen next? Until you recognize that you're starting to go in circles. So it's almost going back to that moment of where the story began all over again. So let's say, I'll give you an example. So let's say someone says, okay, I want to start a business, but I'm afraid of failure. Okay, what's the worst thing that will happen if your business fails? Well, I won't have any income. I won't be able to pay my mortgage. My family will starve, and then it's going to be all my fault. And then when you get to that, it's then asking yourself a question. Okay, when did I start believing that it's all my fault? It's all on my shoulders. So it's kind of like it's like a bit of an onion. If you peel the onion layer by layer, and you get to that fear and to that understanding, and maybe to a memory somewhere, because usually these things start in childhood. We heard something.
That's what I was gonna say. Do you think usually those limiting beliefs starts in childhood?
Yes, that's usually where we go with this. Sometimes we go into generational stories. So things that we heard from our parents, our grandparents, or even without actually hearing stories, they're still locked in our DNA. We still have access to that. So if somebody went through a traumatic event, our parents or grandparents, it may be locked into you. So your fear can have a place. It can start there, even if you're consciously, it didn't happen to you.
Talk about a little bit how you combine the forgiveness and Theta Healing, how they work hand in hand.
Yeah, so I combine everything. It's very rare that I use like one of the tools just very, very separately from the others. For me, everything comes together. So all right, when we have resentment, when we have anger, when we are carrying grudges against someone else, or even worse, if you haven't forgiven yourself for something, if you're carrying guilt or shame, that's going to take away a lot of your energy. It's going to make you kind of feel like you're not deserving of good things. So that's for self-forgiveness. If we are carrying grudges to someone else, that's also going to take a lot of energy to sustain having that feeling and holding that resentment towards someone else. That's going to take a lot of energy. And it's kind of like, it's like a low vibration emotion. It's not bad or good. It just has low vibration. It's not going to give you a lot of energy. It's not going to give you a boost. Well, anger would, but sustaining intense anger is very hard. It's usually short bursts. So from anger, you can do quite a bit, even though it's probably not going to be like the best, most harmonious action. It's going to be actions of some kind, but not necessarily the best action. So what I do is if I'm working with a client and we discover that the client has grudges, let's say, they want to build their business, but they have a grudge against someone. Could be maybe, I don't know, a business partner of the past.
Themselves?
It could be themselves. It could be, it could be that they're carrying pain for, oh, I made this decision and it was a bad decision and I lost money, or, I failed in some way, or someone got hurt because of my decision, even without me intentionally trying to hurt someone. It just happened and I can't let go. So this thing is going to take a lot of your energy. So then what we do is we look at that situation. We look at the story. Because one of the principles, one of the 5 steps in radical forgiveness is, and the very first one is to tell the story. And it may be that the person has never been able to tell the story. Or they might not have allowed themselves to tell the story. So that's the first thing. We tell the story. What happened? Who did what? Who said what? All of that. But we only do it once because we don't want to get stuck in the story. And then we start naming the feelings. And as I said before, it may be that this event is the first time this person has felt those feelings, or it may be that this is coming from, this is a repeat situation. They might have had situations similar to that one in the past. So we kind of trace it back. Do we work with this? Do we have to go to the past? And then once we go to the past, or we decide that this is the story, we look at 2 things. And it doesn't matter which tool I'm using, I'm always going to ask these questions. How did that serve you? And I know sometimes it's a really weird question when the event is very painful. But there is always some kind of benefit that we gain from it. And it may not be obvious, and it can be, we call it secondary gains. It's like one of the classic examples of, let's say, someone, I don't know, someone decided to go into business with a person, and they got scammed and they lost all their money. One of the secondary gains could be, and I mean, each person is different, but this has happened, and I've seen this in my clients before, is that because they lost their money, they might have reconnected with their family, or they realized how much support they actually have around them. So it won't necessarily be gains for that specific situation. It's kind of, we need to look into broader spectrum of like different life areas, or they might have realized like, oh, this is not what I want to do. I want to do something completely different. So they might have found their path in life because of some really difficult event.
It's like finding silver lining in every situation.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more, it's a little bit deeper. So that's kind of where my intuitive abilities come in, because sometimes I'm given information for my clients, so I can share it with them and see, does it resonate? Does it not? Can they recognize the information that's coming through? Sometimes from their soul, sometimes directly from the universe, kind of showing them. And again, the next question is, okay, what did they learn? So what kind of virtues were they able to gain or learn or improve? And sometimes, by being hurt by someone else, you learn compassion, because now you know how it feels to be hurt, to be betrayed. So you wouldn't do that to someone else because it hurts. So it's kind of like, well, I know I won't do that. So it's almost like learning what not to do through these experiences. So yeah, that's the process. And the thing is, we do this for a relationship. We can do this for any kind of situation, but for business situations as well. And for business, because often we're working with money topics. Not being able to attract clients, not making enough money, not allowing themselves to set fair prices that really reflect how much you give to your clients, because there is some kind of I don't know, unworthiness or a fear that if I raise my prices, no one's gonna come and buy from me. We find a lot of the roots of all these money and business topics. They often go back to childhood. They go back to our relationship with our parents. We go back to school bullying. A lot of it's like the issue is never the issue. That's kind of the curiosity of my work.
Tell me one of the most challenging client that you had, and what helped you to resolve, how you helped that most challenging client.
Okay. Well, okay. I have to say the most challenging clients that I've had were the clients that were really, really attached to their victim stories, to the bad things that happened to them, and it became very much their identity. And that identity is always the most difficult part to shift. But then once we kind of identified this, like, okay, this became your identity. So if you want to change, if you want different things in life, then we do the inner work, the subconscious work to release the identity. But then also the person has to kind of change, consciously choose to change how they react to the world, what they choose to do. So it's kind of like that self-awareness process. And clients who are willing to do the work themselves, to go into recognize those moments of self-awareness, and actually after doing the inner work, the deep energetic work, it becomes a lot easier to recognize those. Oh, like, I know this. I don't want to go in that direction. I want to choose something different. So when they are able to do that, then it shifts.
So would you, if you had to summarize overall, would you say awareness will be number one, then early signs, and then choosing to change your identity? What would you add to that?
What would I add to that? To the awareness and
the, like the steps overall, the steps you need to take. First, you have to be aware you have. Then you need to maybe choose that you want to change, and then recognize the early signs.
Yeah, I would say, okay, so the first thing is awareness, to recognize that, there is something here, there's a problem, then allowing yourself to access your feelings for it. And then choosing to change your identity, choosing to let go of decisions, of feelings and all of that. And, there are tools to do that. There are tools that can help, but it's also just a choice. A choice is a very powerful thing. So just making a choice that I am here and I'm going to choose differently. And usually when we make a choice, it's a beautiful thing that happens. The universe comes in and helps us. So maybe you will meet someone that, has the skills and the talents and the tools to help you. Maybe you'll find a good book. Maybe you'll find a resource or some way or a situation that's just going to help you shift. And then, yeah, I would almost go back to kind of like awareness. So it's like little steps of awareness, allowing to feel, and then choosing a different behavior, a different step. Yeah. And then doing it all over again.
And keep doing it, right? Until you
Keep doing it. Yeah.
oh, you keep doing it to maybe tweak a little steps here and there, right? To see what works, what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing that can help is noticing other people's behavior around you. So noticing patterns. So if, for example, some people have a pattern of, let's say, always having, I don't know, a colleague or someone in their life that will be that kind of negative, criticizing. And usually that person is there because they're trying to knock on your door and say, look at this. What is this mirroring for you? Are you being sort of invited to be stronger, to stand your ground, to believe yourself more? So noticing what other people are doing, how are they reacting, and when we change, when that little step happens, people around us also start changing, their behaviors start changing. And it's not because we changed them, but it's kind of like our energy changed, so their response to us is different.
Yeah. So I want you to tell the name of the two books you mentioned one more time, and I want to tell how we can find you, or how we can get the free meditation.
Yeah, okay. So I'll send you the link to the free meditation. Jenny, you can put it maybe in the notes or somewhere so people can access that. They can find me on Instagram. It's agne.veckyte, my first name dot last name. That's how you find me on Instagram at the moment. These are kind of like, Instagram is my primary channel of communication with everyone else. And the two books that I mentioned, the first one is called Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. And the book for emotions is Brené Brown, Atlas of the Heart.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for coming all the way from Lithuania with your knowledge and your expertise and sharing with the listeners. I think we cover a couple of very important things that they can learn and hopefully utilize in their daily life. And then they always can connect with you if they have any more questions and want to get more into that work that's extremely important for their life, personal and business. We really
thank you, Jenny.
Really appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, that's our show for today. One of my main takeaways was naming of your feelings. I can see why Agne's expertise has been a catalyst for profound self-reflection, and I'm truly appreciative of the emotional intelligence she shared with us today. Many thanks to you for joining us on this insightful journey. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and come hang out with me again next week. See you!